We created our migrations and we executed them. Now we want to work with the data. And of course, we're later going to do that in our views.py file and in our Python code. We're going to reach out to the database from in there, and we're going to insert data, get data, filter data, and we're going to do all of that from inside our regular Python files, just as we did it in the prior course sections. But to get started with working with the database, I don't want to build an entire website around it just yet. We're going to do it later though. But instead, I just want to play around with the database. And for this, we can use the terminal. In there, navigated in our project folder, we can run python-free manage.py shell. And this will give us an interactive shell, the interactive Python interpreter, to work with this Django project and to then also work with the database that belongs to it. So if you hit enter, you enter this interactive mode here. And there we can then, for example, import from book outlet, so from our app folder, .models, we can import book. Now I imported the book class into this interactive shell here so that we can interact with it. And we can then, for example, create a new book, for example, Harry Potter, by simply instantiating book like this. This is standard Python code here. We're just instantiating a class, the book model class, which we defined up there. And this class actually has two fields, the title char field and the rating integer field. And Django basically sets everything up such that when you then instantiate one of your model classes, you pass values for those fields as keyword arguments to the constructor function. So here we now add a title keyword argument and set this to a string because it's a char field. For example, Harry Potter 1. The Philosopher's Stone. And then I add a second keyword argument, separated by a comma therefore, which is the rating, which I, for example, set to 5. If I now hit enter, this is created, but the database is not touched yet. This alone won't do anything. This just creates an object in Python and stores it in a variable. This does not yet do anything with the database. But instead, this is now an object which has more than just 2 attributes. Keep in mind, our class only has 2 attributes and nothing else. There's nothing in there, no custom methods, nothing like this. But because we inherit from the model class, which is built into Django, our objects, which we create based on our model, do have some built-in methods. And for example, there is a built-in save method. Every model class which we build, which extends the Django model class, which it should, will have a save method. And when you call save, that data object will in the end be written to the database. And that of course means that now behind the scenes, once we execute this save method, Django will construct a SQL query which looks something like this, and it will execute it for us. So we never have to write that query, but Django will do it for us behind the scenes. So here I can now hit enter, and now this was saved to the database. And of course, we can also save another entry, Lord of the Rings. Here we could create a new book and set the title to Lord of the Rings and set the rating to, let's say, 4. Hit enter and then use Lord of the Rings and call save like this. Hit enter, and now this was saved to the database as well. And of course, you can add more entries. But before we add more entries, let's find out how we could get those entries to really see that something was saved.